It's episode 45 of the Improv London podcast. I'm your host, Stuart Moses, and this week's guest is Piotr Mirowski. Let's start by talking about your latest project, which I think is it a first in improv, would you say?
Almost.
Almost the first.
Yes. So basically, I have been thinking about doing an improv with an artificial intelligence.
Brilliant.
I've been thinking about it for a few years. And I really started working on this in January in a serious way. And in April, somebody else called Kory Mathewson did an AI-assisted improv in Alberta. Oh. So Kory Mathewson is at the Rapid Fire Theatre. What he did was using a chatbot. I used something slightly different, and we will come back to the details. But the result of this is that we have teamed up.
Brilliant.
Yes, so now we are collaborating. We actually met already twice, once in London on the day when he came to give a masterclass, and once in New York during a trip. During a conference on artificial intelligence.
Nice.
Yes. So now we teamed up, and we are going to have an even better version of the AI. And why not have two AIs chatting one with each other?
One word, Skynet.
You know my feelings about it. We have all seen the same science fiction movies, and I think that every single researcher in AI has seen those same movies, and they are tired of hearing about references about Terminator and such. Seriously, people do consider all the possible risks, starting from the existential risks, so machines taking over, to much more mundane risk, which is robots taking people's jobs. And there is actually a big research in that on how to, for instance, universal basic income that could replace in a post-job society the revenues of individuals. I would say that, so I am a research scientist in artificial intelligence myself. I would say that it's a good time to focus on developing your improvisation and artistic skills, because this, as you understand at the end of the podcast, is something that machines are still very, very far from beating us at. So it's a perfect time to do art and the humanities and everything like that.
Very glad to hear it.
No, there is a lot of this anthropocentric prior that we have, which is that machines are going to do exactly what we did, which is to colonize and subjugate everything else. Which might not necessarily be the case. Perhaps machines will actually be way smarter than that, and just figure out that, well, they can live independently from those humans who are making silly wars and voting stupid laws and getting out of Britain or out of Europe and voting for Brexit or whatever. Oh God, I'm doing politics now. Anyway, so I think with a little bit of caution we can avoid other bad scenarios. I believe that machines can actually be used as a tool and as a sidekick. So I love the movie Interstellar, where the artificial intelligence was essentially a friend who could be deactivated, but who also who could be parameterized in terms of I think an amount of humor, of sense of humor and emotions, but who sincerely was helping the main human protagonists. And that's essentially the future that I hope awaits us. So machines as a tool. And the reason why I've been working on this artificial intelligence improv is actually to draw attention on everything that machines cannot do and that we need to do to compensate, but also to emphasize some aspects of improv. So, for instance, the AI that developed always does the most obvious thing. Just like a good improviser. And it does it conditional on the past sentences that you might say to it. It keeps track of a topic. It is absolutely spontaneous. It doesn't hold back.
Right.
It does not plan ahead any behavior. It is gender neutral. It does not have any specific preconceptions about status and race, etc., which is really nice. It does, however, inherit from the data that were used to train it. So perhaps at this point it's good to actually talk about how it was built. Essentially what this is, it is a program that runs on my laptop. And it has a speech recognition module, so I can interact with it by speaking, just like an improviser. It does not have a camera, so all the input comes from textual interaction. It has a dialogue model. So once the speech is recognized and transcribed into words, it reads those words and outputs the most likely sentence line of dialogue that follows according to its internal model.
Wow.
And then it pronounces it using a voice synthesis component. So you can actually hear it speaking. And so far I've been playing with only one voice, a standard British voice, but I'm going to introduce a random selection of different voices. So what I have developed myself is the interface that links all those components and provides with some web interface so that I can also display it on screen, and the dialogue model. So the speech recognition and this voice synthesis already developed.
Yeah.
So voice synthesis is coming from my Apple MacBook, and voice recognition, I'm using now the Google Speech Recognition, which runs in the cloud. The dialogue model is what I designed and I trained myself. And here, my background as a research scientist in artificial intelligence was very handy. So I trained it on about 1 billion words of written dialogue, transcribed from spoken text in movies. So I collected all that corpus of dialogues from Open Subtitles, which is a website that where people can submit subtitles to different movies.
Cool.
That represents 100,000 movies.
Wow.
Yes. So on average, basically, each movie contains 10,000 words. That also includes the little dash that separates one line of dialogue from the other line of dialogue.
Right, yes.
And basically, I created a neural network. So it's a piece of software that works a little bit, is inspired by the way the visual cortex in the brain works.
Yep.
And it is trained on data. So it relies on a technique called machine learning. So the machine is learning based on the data it has. It takes weeks to train it. So I'm actually running it on a powerful computer in the cloud. But once it is trained, I can run it on my laptop.
Wow.
And input and talk to it, have the text transcribed, and then it generates responses in return.
What do you call your AI? Does it have a
Oh,
name?
yes. So the group, because this is a two-prof group,
Oh, yes.
is called HumanMachine. And it emphasizes the fact that there is a human and a machine.
But which is which?
Which is which, exactly.
You're the human.
I am the human, but in some way I think that humans and biological organisms are pattern machines. And we are trying to do what we can to make the AI look like a human. So I'm also adjoining the two words human machine to actually emphasize the fact that we are very linked and sometimes indistinct.
Cool.
And I took the stage name of Albert in the duo, and my partner is Alex, which is an acronym for Artificial Language Experiment, and could be female or male. It's a gender-neutral name, so it's quite handy actually. So yeah, give me a suggestion of a word, perhaps.
A romantic dinner in a restaurant.
Start improvising. Samantha, I'm happy to see you back.
It's so good to see you, darling.
Samantha, I have something for you.
I don't want to talk, but I am not going to tell you.
Samantha, you don't need to talk. You just need to listen. I have a declaration to make to you tonight.
And it's not like I am going to be here, okay?
Samantha, I want you to be here with me, to be there with me for the rest of your days and of my days. Samantha, I would like to propose to you. Samantha?
We know the first group of isn't gonna leave you if it's possible to get out first and you won't tell.
Samantha, I know that the first group that we ever knew...
I don't know where you want me.
I want you to be by my side, Samantha.
She's gone. She can't go back.
No, Samantha, don't say that! Samantha is not gone! The one that I've always been loving is by my side and will be forever.
You can't give her the letter you pay me.
Samantha, the letter that I gave...
I'm sorry, but I miss you, too.
I miss you too, Samantha. End scene.
I am sorry. I am sorry.
Voilà.
Yes.
So
wow.
that was an example. What the listener cannot see is that the speech recognition was actually quite wrong sometimes. I don't know if you were looking at the screen and it was sometimes really, really off.
Yes.
Which is actually not a big problem because basically, in spite of words sometimes being completely off, the system still manages to produce sentences.
Yes.
So now I think maybe I can say a little bit about how it works. As I will try not to be too nerdy in this, but they're all very simple concepts actually that can be explained. So we know, for instance, that in the language, words have different probabilities, likelihoods of occurring. Like the word the, you, I are very likely in the English language. Some other words, such as serendipity, are a bit less likely, unless, of course, it's a romantic comedy. So now, this introduces the idea of a concept, of a context, I mean. So you can define the likelihood of a word in an absolute sense, or based on a context of where this word is pronounced. And one way of defining the context is the context of the previous words.
Right.
So this idea was actually thought carefully by a researcher at Bell Labs called Claude Shannon. He's called the father of information theory, and he wrote seminal papers in the 40s and the 50s. And he designed some very simple words-based models, language models, based on statistics on which words would occur given previous words. And he was able to actually generate some simple sentences or even long pieces of text, which looked for the first few words as if they made some sense, but then when you would read the entire sentence or the entire paragraph, you would realize that it would just drift.
Yeah.
Because the context was always the past three words.
Right.
So it's a bit like somebody was speaking and just forgetting everything but the last three words. So we would expect them to drift. And funnily enough, Keith Johnstone mentioned his work in the book Improv.
Oh, right.
Yes. So Keith Johnstone was a bit dismissive about this idea because, of course, it's not exactly like somebody's speaking through their unconscious. It's more just a machine producing statistics on words. But this at least introduces the first bit of how A.L.Ex works. So it produces words based on the context of previous words. And it literally computes the likelihood of all the words in the vocabulary. The vocabulary consists of 100,000 words. So it's quite a large number of words, but the reason why I chose such a big number is because basically this enables me to have rare words in English and also proper nouns, nouns of places, names of locations and historical figures, etc.
Yeah.
So the model computes the likelihood of every word at any point in time, and then it samples randomly a word according to that distribution of probabilities. So I think the closest analogy I can make to it is role-playing games. You know that you throw a dice.
Yes.
You throw several dice, or you throw a die. And if you played multiple times the same role-playing game and you threw the die, so you say several versions of you play the same game and throw the die, you would actually have different stories,
yes,
which will be generated. But if, let's say, you are a paladin and you are extremely, you have 9 out of 10 in dexterity and 10 out of 10 in strength, well, you're most likely to win in any combat.
Yes.
But perhaps you will not be as good in persuasion. So yes. So the model that I built literally generates multiple sentences just by sampling words one by one, and then it chooses the most likely sentence at the end, the one that whose cumulative probabilities are the highest. So that's one piece of a puzzle. The other one is this idea of words being happening together in literature tend to be related.
Right.
And you can define a word by the company it keeps. So this is a sentence verbatim pronounced by a linguist, by several linguists in the 50s, and that it's another subfield of research in linguistics and natural language processing. And so in my model, for each word, I learn a representation based on which consists in a bunch of numbers. And imagine that if each word had 3 numbers to represent it, you could literally map them in space, in a 3-dimensional space.
Wow.
So initially those words would be randomly placed, but based on which words occur together, they would be drawn one to the other. So for instance, the word tennis and court, or royal court, would be drawn together because of the sequences tennis court and royal court. And then you would end up with a lump of words corresponding to royalty, another lump of words corresponding to sports, which would be maybe not too far from each other, but kind of in different parts of that space. And thanks to that means that you can easily find synonyms. So even if the model has never seen a pattern of words before, or a specific pattern of words before, it can still try to guess what it is about by looking at this presentation of those words.
Wow.
And essentially find synonyms. And so it operates in this synonym space, in this meaning space, which people call the semantic space.
So when you're performing with A.L.Ex, you're playing a persona?
Yes.
You're playing a character?
Yes.
Can you just explain a little bit about that character, where that character's come from?
Yeah, exactly. So the great thing with playing with A.L.Ex is that basically I need to justify everything that A.L.Ex says.
Yes.
I need to make A.L.Ex look good. And this is one of the key rules in improv, that you need to make your partner look good on stage. So I try to come up with strong characters, change my voice. Of course, I need to have a voice that's still recognizable by the speech recognition.
Yes.
And I need to essentially introduce all the elements that Alex cannot provide on stage. So the physicality and the emotion. So Alex essentially behaves like a person who you cannot see, but I try. I have different ways of interacting with it. So, for instance, it can be an invisible person in front of me or next to me. I'm also going to manipulate puppets.
Wow.
And so Alex is basically the voice of a puppet.
Wow, that sounds cool.
One avenue I didn't explore, that Kory Mathewson did explore, is the idea of an avatar on screen.
Cool.
I didn't want to have this myself because I didn't want to have to look on the screen to watch and me to be turned towards the screen and essentially focus the center of attention in a small part of a stage.
Yes.
So having Alex being this sort of diffuse and invisible character is much more flexible.
Yes.
I think. Yeah, of course, what's difficult with playing with Alex is that Alex doesn't manage to keep a consistent stance on any opinion it has, they have.
Because Alex is only remembering the previous 3 words.
No, Alex remembers more than that. Alex actually can remember a very long string of words. And I also use what I call a topic model. So basically, if I say a sentence, it picks up the words in it, and it tries to find the genre based on the words. So then, when it generates the sentences word by word, it is conditioned both on the genre and on the previous words, and it keeps that genre along during the improv. So I extracted those genres from the 100,000 movies, and I was able to find organically genre that would correspond to action movies or to science fiction or to war movies or romantic comedy.
So if you open with something that uses science fiction terms, Alex is going to, access that topic, and then the replies will be framed.
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
So it doesn't keep a stance, but at least it keeps the topic.
Oh, nice. Yes.
So yeah, when we just improvised, Alex kind of kept talking about things related to love. I mean, it never really threw out any word related to science fiction. So I guess it's okay.
Yeah. No, definitely.
It kind of works.
And so, how often do you rehearse?
Well, good point. I did spend a lot of time just programming the language, the piece of software that would learn. I did spend a lot of time, maybe altogether almost 100 hours, just getting the data, cleaning up the data, programming, and then running the experiments and checking everything is good, and then debugging it. So when I was debugging it, yes, I would try to interact a little bit with it. But I think so far maybe I've only played with Alex in a consistent way maybe for 3 hours altogether. I did 2 shows already at the Horse and Stables, the C3 something drop-in and the main show. And I think that went quite well. I was quite happy.
Were there any technical problems on the night?
Yes, and the technical problems were fine because essentially it was just part of a show. The show needs to go on.
Because you're an improviser, so you can cope with those sort of issues.
Exactly. I also did a very short podcast scene at the Androp podcast with Robert Schaffer and Andy Smith.
Cool.
Running it. And and also debugged it and actually played with it with Kory. And Kory, on his side, has been playing with us.
So, before you started working with Alex, you improvised with other people?
Yes, with human beings.
Yes.
So it all started in France when I was studying in engineering school.
The natural...
Yeah, the natural
obviously.
hotbed of improv.
The amount of times I hear that on the podcast.
Yes. And it was in the past millennium, in 1999. So it was in Toulouse, in France. Our teachers were coming from a group called CCD, which literally means the C with the diacritic on it, like in the word français.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, the word français contains a C with a CD on
right.
it.
Yes.
And you cannot write it with a basic English alphabet. You need to add the diacritic. And so CCD were a group of improvisers who were running lots of great workshops. I think they define themselves as Chicago style in their approach, but they were doing lots of improv sports.
Right.
And most of the improv consisted in meeting between teams. So our school, our club, improv club, would meet another club, and then we improvise both on stage. What was cool was that this really forced us to accept what the other were offering. And I remember that CCD were very strong about avoiding violence. And violence meant many things. It meant avoiding, so of course, pushing each other on stage, or even just killing things. Because great, you have somebody on stage and you kill her, and great, the improv has ended. But also being violent in how we would impose an idea on somebody else. So we had to be really tolerant and accepting everything.
Yeah.
And despite the fact that before each improv we would have about 30 seconds of preparation time, where in each team one of the person of the team would prep the rest of the team and give suggestions. Okay, the who, what, where. So let's say that this is a shop, and you are an angry lady, and etc. So one person would step on stage from each team, and with all those ideas and preconceptions in their head, and then the person on the other team would do something completely different. And well, we would have to go with it. So of course, when there was all this preparation time, something needed to be done from a scenic point of view, from a stagecraft point of view. So the host or the MC would actually prepare skits.
Oh, right.
And what was really cool was before each improv match, we would literally prepare costumes and songs. And I remember I prepared a few of them as an MC, and I had a whole playlist on a CD to play. And at some point we did in our school in front of during a festival, and there were professors also sitting and watching, etc. In the audience, and we decided to do the Brits. We decided to do skits about the British. Of course, what else? We were French.
I know. I'm afraid I don't quite understand what humour could be derived from the British. There, I think you'll find.
So things that we came up with were do a skit from Psycho. So I actually brought a shower curtain on stage, and my friend had a knife, and so we were playing a stressful music, kind of filled with suspense, and I was pretending like a shower, and he would show the knife, and I would shout, and up end of a skit, beginning with improv. Or we did.
Was that a satire of the British? Or was that just something else you did? Because I like to think that if you did that, it would be something about how the British were too polite to complain that there was a dead body in the bath or something like that.
Yes.
It's like, don't worry, Miriam, we'll just not have a bath.
No, the satire was very, as we say in French, bon enfant. So we just took, I don't know, themes that we loved. So of course the idea of Hitchcock movies, or we also did a revolution, a rebellion inspired by Another Brick in the Wall, and we just did students rebelling and marching, etc.
So it was all right to have violence in the skits, but not in the improv.
Yes, exactly. And so this was a great learning opportunity of improv, and this lasted for 3 years. And I developed, I think, a very verbal kind of improv. And then I started improvising in English.
Yes, because I was going to ask, when you improvise in French, do you improvise in a different way from when you improvise in English?
I think so, but I haven't improvised in French for a while already, and and when I switched to English, first it was 1 year in England, in Cambridge, I realized I couldn't understand what people were saying to me. I mean, I would understand maybe 50% of what people would say to me, and I would understand 10% of a stand-up comedy show. So I had to improvise on top of improvisation.
So, I mean, is that cultural references, or is it just the...
Even words.
Yeah. Oh, right, okay, fair.
My speech recognition didn't work. I just couldn't get the patterns of language.
Right.
And of course cultural references as well. So I compensated by being physical.
Brilliant.
And
which is actually a really great thing to do.
Yes. And one thing I learned, and that was from the group I was doing, it was called Amazing Spectacles, is that you need to do the most obvious thing.
Yes.
And actually I kept that memory, the memory of that saying, and that incorporated it later. So then I moved to New York. I was for 10 years in New York, and I did improv with a short form teacher, and then we had our mostly short form group. So the teacher was John Swist from Quick Thinking Improv, and what he taught me was to always to take the high road. So it goes with this idea of avoiding violence. So here so basically to try to be funny, but not at the expense of somebody else or another group.
That's nice.
And then it really materialized itself when we started our short film group called Cherub Improv, and I was part of it for 7 years until I left the States. We did improv in front of at nursing homes,
Wow.
in hospitals,
Yeah.
homeless shelters, running
They're
with
not
kids
suffering
shelters.
They're not suffering enough. They're already homeless. You're making them watch Improvisal Hell.
Yes, indeed, poor guys. So sometimes actually in the nursing home there will be people playing bingo and just shouting at us to shut up, or just shouting louder. It was really fun. But that's really interesting places to really interesting audiences to have, and it's I'm interested in kind of the link, if there is one, between taking the high road and I don't know, is it a generosity of spirit? Yes.
I mean, what was it like performing for those sort of audiences?
It was a hard shell. Once it would break, it would be extremely soft, and it was really delightful because it was always a little bit challenging at the beginning, and then we were coming with good intentions. I mean, we literally, for us, it was a way to perform,
Yes,
and to do improv and to have fun, and to get the joy out of seeing people having fun. Okay, great. What else do you want? And we would try to empathize. I remember once in a nursing home I was playing dating game, and my suggestion was grumpy retired. Okay, well, let's take the high road.
yes.
So I talked about the Watergate scandal and how in our youth we are all idealistic and we wouldn't waste our time in front of stupid computers and on social media pretending to socialize.
Right.
We socialize as should be done at Woodstock, physically touching each other and really, really spreading their love. And I continued in a more grumpy way, and I think they liked it. Also taking the high road, we would do improv in the veteran hospital.
Wow.
So yes, when you have somebody in front of you who's in a wheelchair with 2 missing legs, a veteran from Vietnam, you try to avoid making jokes about crack, being drunk, or guns, because, well, perhaps he knows better than you. So let's just not take that road. So that was most of my improv experience in New York, short form, and trying to empathize. And then I came to London. So I did for 1 year improv at City Academy. And it was a great way to meet friends. We started with Stephen Davidson and many of us. We started Improbable. So a short-form group. And then I discovered the Nursery.
Ah.
And
Tell me more of this
amazing.
nursery. I've not heard of this nursery before.
No, we really need to talk more about Jules Munns. And
No, we don't.
the musical improv class we took together.
No, that was amazing.
That
was amazing.
Yeah, that was amazing. And it was really a revelation. No, so what I love about musical improv is the challenge and the fact that it needs to be sleek and perfect in a way, that you really need to respect the audience. Of course, so there are two different ideas. One is being truthful, and this is Katy Schutte's Truth and Song workshops. Doing scenes where you sing a sad song and you don't even try to be funny is, and you just get the audience raptured. It's something that brings you into a state of intellectual orgasm in a way. And watching a showstopper show, wondering how the brain works. I mean, how many brains they have running in parallel.
Yes.
And how many hands does Duncan have to play on his piano? So there is, it's a beautiful challenge. Super. So I think that's all I want to say. Thank you so much, Stuart.
Thank you very much for being on the Improv London podcast.
Thank you.
Yay.
And if you're interested in seeing more, you can follow the webpage. So you just find on Facebook HumanMachineImprov. And my Twitter handle is Piotr Improv. So it's Piotr Improv. Thank you.
I shall put the links in the show notes. Thank you very much.
That will be actually easier. Yes. Super.
Yeah, brilliant.
I made this.
That's improv!